control, shoveling dirt in every hole. Predators to condemn your soul, watching you and watching me. We're all connected but separated, misunderstood and so frustrated. A million armies of one have invaded, watching you and watching me. We live behind glass curtains and act like nothing's wrong. Soon you will belong. I know you're out there somewhere. We've watched you for so long. Wait for you to fall. We'll expose you all. I know you're out there somewhere. Watching me. The little brother wants to make headlines, be immortalized. Everyone's got an electric eye with the digital spies. They've watched you for so long. I know you're out there somewhere watching me. We the people have taken over. We the people are little brother, standing by to dethrone each other, watching you and watching me. Paranoid, the lens is our weapon, desensitized in our lust for attention, democratized by our voyeur obsessions, watching you and watching me. Slaves to perfection, don't let them project you as you are. Feel your every flaw. I know you're out there somewhere. We've watched you for so long. Wait for you to fall. We'll expose you all. I know you're out there somewhere watching me. Little brother wants to make headlines, be immortalized. Everyone's got an electric eye with the digital spies. They've watched you for so long. I know you're out there somewhere watching me. Stay in line, don't make a mistake. We're watching. We watched you for so long. We wait for you to fall. We will expose you all. I know you're out there somewhere watching
Let your experience begin right now. From high atop the mountains of British Columbia to you listening around the world, this is Spaced Out Radio. You can follow us on our website, spacedoutradio.com, on Twitter, @SpacedOutRadio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. You can follow us on Instagram, Dave Scott, SOR, or on our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show. Buckle up, space travelers. It's time to go for a ride as we are live on Spaced Out Radio.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The deeper I go, the deeper I fall.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, and thanks for listening in at spacedoutradio.com, on Spreaker, and on Revolution Radio. Welcome to tonight's show as we broadcast out of Uncle Jimbo's cabin in the Great White North, live on this Thursday night, early Friday morning if you're on the East Coast. Here at Spaced Out Radio, we do this thing 3 hours a night, 7 days a week, because we want to be your official one-stop shop when it comes to the cryptid, supernatural, paranormal, and so much more. If you're on the SOR side and you heard our music like you just did in the intro, that is from our resident guitar god Ron Bumblefoot THAL, formerly of Guns N' Roses. Bumblefoot takes care of all of Spaced Out Radio's musical needs. You can click on the Bumblefoot banner on our website. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, I can be followed at Dave Scott SOR. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show, and our website is spacedoutradio.com. At this time, we say hello, how are you? What's going on out there? If you're taking part in the Revolution Radio chat room on the High Plains Talk Radio Network, in the SOR chat room on Spreaker, along with our fans at Euphoria Chronicles, Chronicles of the Unknown, Forest Moon, Paranormal, Bono's Bigfoot Tavern, and the flagship chat room of this show, the SOR Space Travelers. If you haven't signed up for the SOR Space Travelers Club yet, it is time. It's only $5 a month, and with that, your name gets entered into monthly prize draws. You get access to private group interviews, access to a special section on our website, and so much more. We're going to give you a hell of a lot more than just access to our archives. While at spacedoutradio.com, you can read our latest blogs. Mine is on how this show helps me with my depression and anxiety, and you can check out the Eric Markham SOR Space Wire for your latest in weird news. Tonight's show is brought to you by the New Agora newspaper. It's the official paper of this show. The iTunes app, Spirit Story Box. It's the official ghost hunting app of SOR. PurplePlates.com, helping heal your body, mind, and soul. And Rivulet Reiki and Readings, providing healings in person or at a distance. Remember, if you are a listener of Revolution Radio, it is the largest non-profit online radio station going. Do us a favor, take the time to go to freedomslips.com and donate today. It's time to head back into the forests and swamps to take a look at Sasquatch. Down in Louisiana, the Sasquatch is believed to be roaming around the flooded swamps with the gators and cottonmouths. And down there, Bigfoot is said to be one pissed-off cryptid. Why? Well, we're going to hopefully find out tonight. Maybe it's the heat combined with the humidity, or maybe it's just battling the wild animals and elements of the area. Wars with the Rougarou could possibly be indeed. But what is known is there is a strange, large, bipedal, ape-like creature that's lurking into the shadows, that has hunters, fishermen, and the public looking around, even with fear. Think of the beast of Boggy Creek. Bono Russell is relatively a newcomer to the Bigfoot scene. His own personal experience with Sasquatch made him take this subject just a little bit more seriously to investigate the mystical and mythical values of this creature to prove its existence. You can find Bono on his Facebook group page, Bono's Bigfoot Tavern. We welcome Bono Russell into Spaced Out Radio tonight. We are talking Bigfoot the next 3 hours. Bono, welcome. How are you?
I'm doing good, Dave. I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Well, I thank you because I got to know about you through Shannon Legro from Into the Fray Radio, and people may recognize her from a couple of television shows. Shannon is just an incredible talent when it comes to the cryptid world, and I really appreciate you taking the time to come on this show and to kind of rock out with us in regards to Bigfoot.
Sure. It's my pleasure.
When you decided to get into Bigfoot, were you always a believer, or was this something that, you had I know you had your own experience. Did you believe in Bigfoot before that?
Yes, I did. Since my childhood, the Patty film was going around, the late 60s, early 70s. I was born the same year the Patty film came out, actually. But you would see it on In Search Of and whatever other programs they had. Sometimes they even played on Mutual of Omaha, I believe, like PBS and all that stuff. They had the Patty film, and then they had the whole Patty Hearst thing going on. I remember that for some reason. But I like the Bigfoot Patty better. And I saw that a few times, and it always really intrigued me, and it was like, it spooked me, it interests me. I wanted to know about it. So all my life, any Bigfoot programs will come on TV, I would just, drop everything and run to the TV and start watching it, so I loved it. But I never, back in the 70s and the 80s, I don't think that the Bigfoot community knew what they know now. I think they've gotten a lot braver, and they started going more and more, deeper in the woods and studying and researching and investigating for longer periods of time, and really taking it serious and taking time and money out of their lives to, to do these kind of things. And we learned a lot more about the so-called, alleged behavior, since we can't prove the animal is, or even if it's an animal, the creature is real. We have no real proof, but, people, we just go by what people say when they, have their encounters, and we just kind of compare notes and, see if there's always a common denominator. So that's all we really have to go by. But that's how they learn Bigfoot behavior, even though it's, like I said, it's hearsay. There's no proof of it. But, if one person on one side of the country is experiencing the same thing as a other person on the other side of the country, it's not like they're getting on the phone and saying, hey, just tell people this when they ask that. They're experiencing the same kind of things, is what I'm saying. They're comparing notes, and these are the things that are happening, in the woods and everything. There's a lot of researchers that devote most of their time studying the creatures, and usually in the same area. They're common research area, and they actually get to know, the creatures get to know them more so than they get to know the creatures. But they start to trust the individual researcher, and they get to hear and see and experience a lot more things than someone who would just sort of hop around the country looking for Bigfoot. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean, my friend, because there is a lot of theories behind this, but the one thing that I will say is, there's a lot of people out there running around the forest, whether it's in Canada, whether it's in the United States. There's a lot of people who don't understand the creature, but they see it on TV. They want to be one of those guys. They want to be the guy or the girl who's going to prove that Bigfoot exists. They're carrying guns. They may not be ready for what actually happens when you have that experience with Bigfoot. it is dangerous out there. It's not for everybody. And I'm sure you can attest to that. What makes doing this so dangerous?
Well, for one thing, you're putting yourself out there in the elements, and Bigfoot is not the only predator. In my research area, I've found print. I found what I think is a Bigfoot print, but I also found, I have a picture of it, I'll show you that later or something. I also found a print of a big cat. And I'm not talking about a tabby cat. I'm talking about an exotic cat. And I've heard the rumors that in this parish, this is north of Lake Pontchartrain in Louisiana. Where I live south of Lake Pontchartrain. This is north of Lake Pontchartrain where I do some of my research around my dad's property and everything. I found big cat prints. So the rumors must be true. Now, if there's a big black panther running around that's hungry, I'm sure it can easily overpower a 6'2" man if it's hungry enough to take you down and drag him into the woods. You got to see him again. So yeah, it is a good idea to carry a firearm with you for that purpose. But yes, it makes it very dangerous to. And then there's hogs. You know, you got on these thick pine, brushes and everything. It's like in summertime, there's briars and all this stuff. You can't even see your feet. There's snakes, there's rattlesnakes, there's cottonmouths, and there's hogs. The hog, you won't even see a hog coming. It's supposed to be it sees you, and it feels threatened. It'll come at you, and pretty soon you flat on the ground, and your legs all torn up and you're bleeding. I mean, it's very dangerous to go Bigfooting, especially alone.
Well, I know in this area, and where I live, way up in the sticks here in British Columbia, we have everything that you can imagine that North America has wild. Just the other day, actually yesterday as a matter of fact, about a mile away from me, there was a large cougar sighting just meandering around the area because all the fawns are out with their mama deer and the bucks are getting ready to go into rutting season. So perfect time to grab some fresh deer meat, if you know what I'm saying. So we have that happening. If you go a little bit up north of me, you have everything from porcupines, which I didn't realize they were that big in the wild when I drove past one the other day because I'd never seen one in the wild. We have wild horses. We have wild hogs. Then I'm not even getting into the moose, the elk, the caribou, the grizzly bears, the black bears, the wolves, hell, the town I work in on my daytime career, I had a wolf, literally, oh goodness, not even a quarter mile from my work. I mean, this is just how out there it is. It is a dangerous place out in the wilderness, and those animals, they don't care. If they're hungry, especially going into the winter, they're going to attack you and eat you.
It could be. Yeah, and especially a bear. A bear will eat you in a heartbeat. I've heard stories of alleged Bigfoot, supposed to be Bigfoot attacks or whatever, and later find out it was a bear attack. But they will consume a person. They'll munch you down to your ankles, man, and leave your tennis shoes there with the bones sticking out. Oh,
they're angry. They're angry.
Yeah.
Especially when they're about to go into hibernation, they want to get down as much as possible. And I know the animals are there, but I can tell you personally right now, I am not experienced enough to go out there on my own. I would love to go Bigfoot hunting around here. I know there's Bigfoot sightings in this area. Okay, they're far and few between, but I know they've been seen here. And when you go into certain areas, you'll understand when I say this, Bono, you can feel them. You can feel their presence.
Yeah, you can.
So I know they're here. Explain to me and explain to our audience, because I understand, what I just said in telling you that you concurred with, that you can feel when they're around?
Well, it's that feeling that most people say, that feeling of being watched. Like, you ever like fell asleep and your little sister or your little brother will come in your room, in the dark room, you can't see them, and they sneaking up so you can't hear them, but you know somebody's there. You know, you're not expecting them to mess with you. It's your room. You're in your bed, in your private bedroom, and here comes this stupid kid. But you don't really realize it because they're not making any noise. But the kid's presence is there. You know someone is looking at you. And I don't know if that has anything to do with, it could be, has something to do with the electricity that your brain generates through your nervous system to either make your arms and legs move, or maybe it's just thoughts you have in your head. I mean, maybe that is a paranormal thing. Like when a Bigfoot's around. If it's upset or if it's curious and it wants to know, why you're there, or if you're a threat, or if it's angry, especially. Maybe they do put out some sort of electric flux or something like that out their brains, and you can actually feel that. I don't know if that makes any sense to you, but.
Oh, absolutely, it does. I'm an experiencer as well, Bono. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah,
I have been within 80 feet of 2 Bigfoot, and the first one was hiding behind a tree, and it was kind of ducking in and out in the shadows. You could make out the face, you could make out the right shoulder. The second one, as we were getting ready to leave, a friend of mine and I, he didn't see the second one, I did. What caught my attention was as I was turning, so if I'm facing, say, 12 o'clock north, which I was, and I'm turning towards 1, 2 o'clock, turning to my right, all of a sudden I saw this tree branch at about 80 feet that was shaking rigorously, and that's where I saw the second one, which was absolutely massive, walk right through that area, man. And I will never forget that image. Like, just telling you that story and everyone out there that story, I can see that image right now. And it is like Andre the Giant on steroids. That's how big this thing is. And I'm sure you'll agree with me. They are huge.
Well, it seems to me that the further north you go, especially the further northwest you go, the bigger they get. I mean, like in the Pacific Northwest of Canada, and then you go on even more Pacific Northwest to Alaska, where they say, I don't know if I believe it, but they say they get 16 foot tall. There's a man claims he has a picture of one that's that tall, and it's on YouTube. I guess if you type in 16-foot Sasquatch, it'll come up.
Oh, now you're going to make me do that.
A 16-foot Sasquatch. My God, that's bigger than a freaking T-Rex.
Oh yeah. Well, I got to look this up now. Now you got me all curious, and I'm sure everybody's rushing to Google right now. Yeah, go.
Well, I don't want to say Google. Go to YouTube and just type in Alaska 16-foot tall Sasquatch. It should come up. A guy claims he has a picture of one. There's an image in the picture standing in the tree line or whatever, and it's supposed to be a 16-foot Sasquatch. It looks pretty dang big, but I don't know about 16 feet. They say they get really, really big now, and I've heard and actually I told it on one of my Mojo encounters. There was a story that came out of Alaska from a moose hunter that one of my teachers knew in the 80s. And because he was in the Army, he was stationed somewhere in Alaska, and they were hunting, and he was warning them about the Bigfoot and stuff like that, and he told them his encounter. And he said the thing was really big, like 14 foot tall or something. Or 13 or 14 foot tall. That right there is just huge, to imagine. And the one I saw actually, so I had a face-to-face. It couldn't have been, oh gosh, it wasn't that far from my dad's house. It was into the woods. I was doing some investigating because I was, I was seeing some strange things, like some boulder trees that were stuck in the ground, and just some odd-looking bedding kind of stuff. And I was having some hunks of asphalt and stuff thrown at me, or concrete. And I actually had a face-to-face with one of these things, but it was, to me, I mean, it stood up. When I saw it, looked like it stood up, its full height. It was like looking at the corner of the ceiling, like 8 foot tall. So, I mean, I guess that's the only one I've actually seen with my eyes, and I can guarantee you it's about 8 foot tall. And even 8 foot tall is big. That's a huge creature. That's a big boy. So can you imagine 14, 16 foot tall Bigfoot, man? That's a monster.
That is massive.
Yeah. If you look at some of the territorial markings, which they believe is, there's some of the researchers out there say, well, these are territorial markings. What they'll do is you take these big giant, I don't know if they're cedar trees or huge trees, uproot them and shove them in the ground like 8 foot deep. And they're all over the place, in the wilderness out there in Alaska, where supposedly Bigfoot territory is supposed to be. And they say a lot of them have been around a long time, like since the 1940s. These huge trees uprooted and just, shoved into the ground really, really deep. And they did a study on it, and they didn't see any chain marks or, marks that a machine might have made, a crane or bulldozer or nothing like that, Something took these trees and pulled them up and shoved them in the ground upside down, man. Scary looking stuff, man,
What does that look like when you are walking through a forest and there's trees everywhere? All of a sudden you see, I don't know, a 12, 14-inch round or maybe bigger tree literally using its roots as its canopy now rather than the base of it.
I think they just from some of the encounters I've heard, it's not just a territorial mark. It is actually like we put crosses on our loved ones' graves or whatever. They bury the dead, and they'll bury them in a root pit and shove the tree back down in there. And that's the mark where the beloved Sasquatch had passed away. And I guess that's like I said, it's the headstone. So
how were you able to figure that out? Because I've never heard that theory before.
Because there was a small research group. I don't know the name of the research group, but this happened in like southwest Canada somewhere. So whoever that area is.
That's my area, just so you know.
Yeah. Okay, well, there was this river that swelled up, and it washed away the bank, and it exposed, when the water receded, it exposed all the roots of this tree. On the side of the bank, all the roots and everything was sticking out. But that's not the only thing that was sticking out. Sticking out of the bank also was this skeleton, huge skeleton with a huge skull and huge jaws, like a huge mandible, with a sagittal crest on top. I mean, this thing was huge, the guy was saying. And so they're all interested in it. They fixing, okay, we're going to excavate this, and this is something. This is not a human skeleton. This is something significant here. This could be a Bigfoot. And so the guy proceeded to, took a shovel and he started to walked towards this skeleton to try to dig it out or whatever. And every time he took a step toward it, he heard this growling and carrying on, in the woods right behind him. And the closer he got, the madder whatever it was growling at him got, and the louder. And then they started throwing things at him, so he got really scared and just abandoned the whole thing, like, screw this. This ain't worth it. I don't want to be killed, So apparently something was protecting it. And that's why I say they bury them under trees, because that thing, something had to put it there. Skeleton don't get under a tree unless something puts it there. That's why I say they bury their dead in root pits. They use that. Trees are very useful to a Sasquatch. They utilize trees and for all kinds of things, for their lairs, for this, that, to hide behind. I think they pull trees up and use the root pits in the bottom to hide food. I think they dig pits to hide in, and you can see them all around the woods, like around in Kentucky. There's a research team out there that I'm really close to, and they send me their pictures a lot. And these people are surrounded by Sasquatch. They've gotten to know the people because they've been there all their lives, experiencing and having Bigfoot encounters, close encounters with Sasquatch all their lives. And so the Sasquatch know these people, and they go out in the woods and they do investigations every single day. And they send me their pictures, and you'll see them. They'll be hiding sometimes in hollers, but sometimes they'll just be in the middle of this field, and there'll be this giant hole, like it looks like where a tree used to be, because there'll be this big tree, just or a log, just kind of laid over a couple feet away from it, and so there's this big root pit. And there's this little Sasquatch head, sticking up, which looks like to me, and it's usually very far away. I estimate they keep an average distance away from people or human being, the researcher or the investigator. They'll keep an average distance of about 45 to 50 yards. They ain't going to come in any closer unless they think you don't see them. I think the black ones have the ones with the black hair, they have a harder time hiding from you. They keep their distance pretty good, but they hide pretty good in the shadows. They're down deep, especially deep in the brush, deep in the thickets. They hide. But the ones that the more gray color or more willow type color, like a tree bark, they get away with murder, man. They get really close to you. You won't know they're there. And these are instances where, and the brown ones too, with the gray. Some of them are brown with gray mixed, like brundle looking almost. Those, because there's been instances where this hunter will go out in the woods and he's telling his encounter, and he said, I thought it was a stump, and all of a sudden, this stump comes alive, man, and breaches up this 9-foot ridge in one leap and disappears. So, that happens a lot, too.
My neighbor, Tony, he was telling me a story of a good buddy of his who they went to high school together, and one day they were driving out to one of the lakes here at night to go to a campsite where some friends were, and they were driving down this long, narrow road, like literally it's lake on one side, mountain on the other. That's kind of the area we're in here. And as they're driving at night, they see this thing come right out of the ditch, and he's driving like an old Camaro, okay, and he's cruising on in his Camaro at a pretty high clip. They see this thing come out of the ditch, and all of a sudden, all he sees is this hand go whap right by his window, took his mirror right off his car. He slammed on the brakes, and he said within 2 steps, this thing was off the road and up the mountain. He said it was just gone. For a big, massive creature, they are pretty fast.
Yeah, that's what I was saying that. I was saying that to some friends of mine on the line the other day. The only thing I can compare the speed to is a freaking mouse. But you got a mouse that's like 1,000 pounds.
Yes.
I think it has something to do with their skeletal structure and their musculature. It's like no other. It has to be. You know? They're very, like, you ever see a mouse? A mouse can fit under the smallest slit under a door, even though it's 3-dimensional. It can make itself as flat as a cockroach and get in the tightest places and move so fast. I mean, that's the only thing I can compare it to. And it's not impossible. So that's why I think it becomes an ego thing with people. We don't think, oh, well, an animal can't have those capabilities. So we out here bashing everybody that say, oh, well, I got this new theory. I think they do this. I think they're endowed with this. No, you stupid and crazy, and let me cut you all up. No, man, open your ears and your eyes. Okay? These things are powerful. And maybe they are endowed with abilities and, physical capabilities and maybe even mental capabilities that we wouldn't even be able to understand. That, things that are completely out of our scope of normalcy. And that freaks people out, and it damages some people's egos, and they don't like that, No, it's an animal, and I'm a human, and this animal can't do that. I mean, what about other predators? Like a lion can tear you up in a heartbeat, but it doesn't hurt my pride. It doesn't hurt my ego. Get over it, man. We can't tag it. We can't put it in the file because it's just that endowed. And we haven't figured out how to do that yet. So instead of just taking new avenues, most of these people are attacking other people that have ideas. And I think it's sad, especially for people that go out there and bust their ass in the woods, man, and you get a lot more than brush burns. I'm talking broken fingers, broken legs, snake bites, this, that, and the other, fevers, sicknesses, just to try to, find out what it is and contribute to the Bigfoot community. And, nowadays, I think a lot more people out there, they're not out there to prove it because the thing is, it's there. I think most people know that. I think it's already been proven, but it's just hasn't been made public, and I won't go into that too much. But
we're going to get into that. That's what this show is all about.
Well, yeah, I hear you. I'm just saying I can't prove that either. I mean, I'm just saying I'm using common sense here. We are very, this country is high tech, man. We got. I don't see one reason why they wouldn't know about it. The military, the government, whatever. We very high tech, man. And if your everyday researcher that lives in West Virginia or Kentucky or Tennessee or one of these places can understand, what's out there, I guarantee you that our government can understand what's out there. And they have the means, and they have the equipment, and they have the know-how, they have the intelligence. So I'm not, most people that know that and realize that they're not out to prove it. You know, I'm not out to prove it. I'm out to explore and learn and share, and that's it.
Bono, I'm getting a lot of questions about if you have a website or not.
No, I want one. I'm going to get one. I'm going to get one, and I'm going to devote it to Mojo Encounters. And that one, maybe I'm thinking, you know, especially if I can get a podcast later on. Right now I'm in between jobs, and can't really do that right now. So, but, yeah, when I get a podcast, I'm going to get me a website, and we'll devote everything Mojo to that website. And
absolutely,
you know, the Tavern, yeah.
You got to keep the Tavern going.
Yeah, I got the Tavern. I mean, we post Mojo stuff in the Tavern and stuff like that. It's part of the feed. So, but just to be, I want to be exclusive about Mojo because I want to get the word out there a little further than Facebook. So,
Gloria,
yeah,
Gloria is also in Louisiana. She's wondering whereabouts you are.
I'm 3 miles. I'm about 3 miles outside the city of New Orleans.
All right.
Yeah.
Gail has a question in the SOR Space Travelers. She is asking, can you describe your encounters?
Yes, I can. My first encounter that I'm aware of, you know, I think a lot of people have encounters and they're not aware that they had an encounter. When I was a little kid, I used to hop around with my dad. My dad used to be a fur trader. He used to hop around Louisiana and the surrounding states, and he'd buy them wholesale, and, you know, they'd do their bidding and stuff like that, but it would be weeks at a time. We would be on the road. We'd go all over Louisiana, Mississippi, Arkansas, Texas, Oklahoma, all over the place, and buy pelts from trappers. And sometimes I would get that, you know, when we were around a really heavily wooded area in the country. At night, you know, I'll get that same feeling of being watched, you know, like you were talking about. Just, you know, I guess kids, I don't know, maybe I was just being scary. I don't know, but it's later on it was a very familiar feeling that I could relate to from when I was a kid. But this one time I was in Pearl River, Mississippi, which is not too far from the Honey Island Swamp. All right, and my dad was, you know, buying some, you know, he was closing out a deal and buying furs and that. We were fixing to leave. It was at night, and he was talking to the residents, people in the residence and that. He did a lot of talking. He knew these people really well. And I'm sitting there yawning. I was like 5 years old. You know, I'm looking at the tree line. They live in a really, really piney area, you know. And I see these eyes bobbing up and down, which I thought I did, you know. And it reminded me, it kind of looked like the little characters in my favorite book, which at the time was Where Wild Things Are. Remember that little book? I don't know if you remember, but it's this old children's book from the 70s, and it's all these little monsters and the kids interacting with them, and they make him a king and all this stuff or whatever. That's what I thought I was seeing. So I don't know if you could call that an encounter, but I sure felt like I was being watched at the time. But that was my first experience. Now that I think about it, you know, at the time, you know, think about it. You're 5 years old. It's like, yeah, what's going on here? My little comic book's coming alive. I'm like, Daddy, they got something in the woods over there. It's looking at me, and it's a monster. It's like, get in the truck, boy. You got to get a nap. You know. So, but that's the first time I could say I felt uneasy. You know, I thought I saw something in the woods, but then in October of 2005, after Hurricane Katrina. Me and my girlfriend went to Indiana. We didn't have anywhere to go. You know, my whole town was devastated down here. We lost everything. And her dad had just built a house out in Brownsburg, Indiana, and we went and stood out there. Well, on the weekends, we'd go by her grandparents. And they lived way out in the boondocks, man. You know, it was all farmland and woods and hills and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, we went and stood there one night, and so it was, we had just ate a nice hearty meal that her grandparents cooked. And the old man had bought me some beer, and I went outside to smoke a cigarette. And I'm sitting on the steps on the side, this little side porch they had. And he come brought me a beer, and you know, I was hearing coyotes going off. It was getting about, you know, nighttime. The sun was going down. It was almost nighttime, and I hear these coyotes going off in the woods, across from, because right on this side yard was a big old soybean field, and in the front of the house was a big cornfield. I was facing the soybean field, and beyond the soybean field was just nothing but woods. And from what I understand, I think that part leads into some big old state park or something around there in Indiana. It's very close. It's not that far actually from Illinois, from the Illinois state line where we were. But it's definitely the country. So I'm sitting there on the steps. I start hearing coyotes go off. And so the old man comes out there and he hands me a cold beer. And he hears the coyotes, you know, and he kind of looks up. And all of a sudden I heard this one coyote. It didn't sound much like the rest of them. And it sounded like it was a lot closer. Like it was in the soybean field, not in the woods. Like it was really close. And it went off, you know. And it sounded really strange. And I said, "Whoa, Pat." She called him Pat, you know, the old man. I said, "You heard that one?" He says, "Well, yeah, that might be the alpha male, you know." So, but then he told me to get out. He went inside because he goes to bed early. This is like 6 o'clock or something like that. Sun was just about down. And so sun goes down, and I'm starting to smell this awful smell. I wanna call it everything, like body odor, roadkill, piss. It was this awful smell. But I was used to smelling these types of odors, you know, around the area. As a matter of fact, that last 50 miles driving out to Indiana was nothing but pig farms. And it is the most horrible odor you ever smell in your life. I mean, I would rather just stick my head in the manhole and just smell the sewer. You know, I mean, it was really, really bad. So I was kind of used to smelling these funky smells around. So I didn't pay too much mind to it, even though it was very, very pungent. So, and mind you, I got all the stuff on my mind. I can't. At the time, I didn't know where half my family was. I couldn't get in touch with half my family because I didn't know if they were dead or alive. And I had just received the word that my best friend had drowned in a storm. So I wasn't in good condition. I was actually sitting on those steps sobbing. I was crying, sad, you know. And all of a sudden, I hear this growl / roar. Weird. You know, I've never heard anything like this in my life.
I know it sounds like, yes.
This blast of creepiness, whatever you want to call it. I was scared, but I wasn't. I mean, I'm like, what the hell? And my whole head rattled. Like it shook my flesh on my bones, man, my belly, my whole body. I was sitting down on the steps. I felt my whole upper body just, tremble. Like somebody drove by with some giant still water tickets. And, you know how that goes. But I'm like, I froze. Because I knew there was something there that I didn't want to look at. And I wanted to look at it, but I couldn't. Like I couldn't make myself look at it. So I just kind of looked straight ahead. And I could hear this thing. It's something, whatever it was breathing really heavy. And the breathing in was just as deep as the breathing out. It was creepy. And I'm like, what the hell is this?
Bono, let me cut you off there for a second. How far away was that? How far away was that from you at that point?
I'm getting to it. There's a cluster of trees. All right. About 25 feet away, off to the right in the yard. And that's where it seemed like it was coming from. But I know it was coming from there. When I stood up, I didn't turn my head. I turned the whole body. I was going inside because I'm like, screw this. I'm going inside. I don't know what this is. So I turned my body, to the right to go grab the door handle to go inside. And I could see the eye shine off the corner of my eye. I didn't turn my eyes to look. I just refused to look at it. I just couldn't look at it. I didn't want to look at it. I don't know what the deal was. Just couldn't. And out the corner of my left eye, I could see the eye shine moving back and forth in sort of like a figure eight motion, like it was going back and forth, and you could hear the breathing. And I just went straight inside. And the only thing I could figure at the time, I didn't think it was, that must have been a Bigfoot. I wasn't into it that deeply at the time. I didn't know what I know now, put it that way. And so I'm thinking it might have been one of those, like I was telling you before, maybe an exotic pet that escaped or something. Because there was, my girlfriend's brothers were talking about that as well. I was telling them about, Louisiana has them. We got them too. I got panthers out there too. And they steal chickens out of farmers, from farmers, and they even kill goats and this, that, and the other. So they were telling me about that. And that's what I had in my mind. So I bet that's one of those damn escaped those feral cats or something. Those feral exotic pets or something. That's what I was thinking. So I went to bed that night, and God, through the window was shut in my bedroom, but the curtains were open. Now, in the country around there, there's no street lights. You can look straight up to the sky and see the most beautiful vista of stars. I mean, you see the whole Milky Way arms, beaming across the sky. It's gorgeous out there. So there's no lights. The only lights they had was the one on the side porch where I saw the eye shine. But this is on the opposite side of the house. And I was getting really tired. I was really sad. I just wanted to get some sleep. And I was a little freaked out about what happened, but I tried to put it on my mind. I just wanted to go to sleep. So I laid down, and I'm looking out the window. I can't see anything out of it, but I had that feeling again. Like whatever was out there could see me right through that window, even though I can't see it. And it's kind of unnerved me, man. So, but I was so tired, I just wound up falling asleep. As soon as I started to fall asleep, though, I heard the stomping outside, on the ground, like something heavy was stomping on the ground. And you could actually feel the impact tremors underneath the bed, on the floor. And I'm like, what? I wake up, and then it would stop. And well, this happened like 3 or 4 more times before I actually went to sleep. And but I finally crashed out and went to sleep. And I woke up the next day. I didn't think to look for Bigfoot tracks. I just I heard those combines rolling, man. Taking out the corn and the soybean, and I got all excited. Because her grandpa drives a combine actually for the people that own those fields outside his house, and he was helping them gather the harvest. And I jumped in the combine with Paps and just having a great old time. Just enjoying it and forgetting about whatever happened the night before. But had I known what I know now, I would have been looking for tracks. I didn't have no room for all that stuff. I had a whole lot to deal with. My life was all messed up, man.
One of the things, Bono, that we talk a lot about on this show, and it's a topic that's pretty close to me, is when we always ask the question to people, how are you going to react? Because people are so brave and so tough when they say, I'm going to get a camera out, or why didn't you record that, or why didn't you record that, or how could you not? Yeah. You should have got proof. They don't know that at that moment they're experiencing, their mind cannot process what is truly going on. Did you find that with yourself and your experiences?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think I would have been more afraid if I didn't have all the stuff, emotions and things in my mind. Mm-hmm. Also, I didn't have room for all that, what was going on. I just wanted to escape it. But yeah, I was scared. I'm not going to say I wasn't scared. I don't know. You're going to blow his head off. No, I was scared. And it's funny, I'll post something in the Tavern. I have these little Bono's brain fart and Bono's 2 cents, and I have the question for the Bigfooter. And the other day I had this picture of it was a winding trail, like a road going through this, it looked like it's like a tunnel going into the forest. It was really, really, really dark, And I put 2 red eyes inside the darkness, and I put, would you ride through here on your bicycle? And all these guys were like, yeah, I'd ride right through there, man. Oh yeah. I said, yeah, I'll go. And it's like, yeah, if you were really that, I think you would turn around and take another route. If you couldn't see it.
I always laugh at how tough people are when it comes to Bigfoot. They're always going to shoot it. They're always going to be the one who gets that money shot that gets everybody believing. And in the end, they're the ones who are nearly crapping their pants when they finally have that experience. It makes me laugh. And it's funny. That's why a lot of times we will say on this show, how are you going to react? You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. How are you going to react? Because most people have no clue how they were going to react. Whether it's Bigfoot, whether it's extraterrestrials or a UFO that's close to the ground or something along those lines. The emotions take over. You have no choice. You're going with the flow of your emotions. And it really is the same. And I appreciate you telling that story because that's something that we have used a lot of dialogue on here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I had for the first time at the beginning of this year, I had my first face-to-face encounter here in Louisiana.
Give us a little tease. We only have about 2 minutes here, boss.
Really? Oh, yeah, okay. Well, I started investigating around my parents' property, and this is how I got to actually see a Bigfoot. And I have a theory about that now. A lot of people say, "Well, I'm never going to see a Bigfoot." No, because you keep hopping around. Stay still. If you keep investigating, in one area, and these things start to get used to seeing you in your presence, eventually you're going to see one. I can guarantee you.
I agree with that. Mike Johnson with the Rocky Mountain Sasquatch Investigative Research Group. He is someone who doesn't even take weapons in. He has built such a relationship in 3 different spots with these Bigfoot out in the field that he doesn't even feel fear. And it comes to the point when they set up camp and they're all in their tents, they put the rookie at the back of the tent, because usually the rookie at night will get a hand over its head, feeling around to see what that is from the other side. So they have been touched. And what you're saying about how Bigfoot takes the time to get to know you, that really resonates with a lot of the people I have talked to that aren't so-called, quote, end quote, my hated word of this field in the paranormal, scientists.
Scientists, you're right.
Everybody's a bloody scientist. Hey, on that note, we're going to hop out for our first break of the night. Bono Russell from Bono's Bigfoot Tavern on with us. Spaced Out Radio, back for hour number 2 right after this.
All right.
Looking for news beyond the mainstream news? Head to spacedoutradio.com and check out the SOR Spacewire. This is Spaced Out Radio's Eric Markham, news director for the SOR Spacewire. Daily, I will bring you intriguing stories and outlandish reports from what's going on around the world. UFO sightings, paranormal activity, conspiracies, alternative health, and so much more. And if you have news, email me at news@spacedoutradio.com.
Hi there, I'm Butch Witkowski, lead investigator with U4COP. On the final Monday of every month, you can listen to me and host Dave Scott on Spaced Out Radio's Strange Days. We're going to get to the heart of the matter when it comes to what's happening out there. People are seeing and experiencing things from ET contact to Bigfoot, and I want to hear about it. Your experiences are what we investigators need to help solve these unknown mysteries. So tune in at spacedoutradio.com.
Greetings and salutations, space travelers, from the Chronicles of the Unknown team.
What is Chronicles of the Unknown? I keep hearing about this thing.
It's a new paranormal reality TV show based right here in beautiful British Columbia, Canada. Follow our team as we uncover claims of activity on the Caribou Gold Rush Trail. You can also follow us here every third Monday, where 2 members of our team will be available to answer your questions.
Have you ever wondered about those weird and strange creatures people have reported throughout history? Do you wonder if those stories are real? Me too, and that's why I started Cryptopia.us. Hey, this is Rob Morphy, crypto historian. Join me once a month on Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott, where we will get into the odd and bizarre reports, from the Dover Demon to hairy hominids and everything in between. I will break down what people like you and me are seeing at spacedoutradio.com.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. With their money-back guarantee and the many benefits, how can you afford not to get one? Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com for mind, body, and spirit, and expect a miracle.
Strange creatures lurking in the night, the sounds of wood knocking in the forest, odd happenings right out of a fictional world. These are the reports I love. Hi there, this is author Ronald Murphy, and I would love it if you join me and Spaced Out Radio host Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month on our journey into the unknown land of cryptozoology at spacedoutradio.com. From Mothman to Frogman and everything in between. Hey, they don't call me the crypto guru for nothing.
Are you interested in advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Head to our website at spacedoutradio.com and click on our advertising tab. There, you will find an assortment of ways you can get your product out there with us, from radio commercials to banners and social media. Have a product you like our hosts to endorse? We can do that too. Visit spacedoutradio.com for more details.
From British Columbia to Northern California, Pacific North Weird has Cascadia covered. Check out our feature videos at spacedoutradio.com, where I, Vincent Zunza and my super sleuth partner Alexandra Sullivan track down the weird and strange stories from around the Pacific Northwest, from Bigfoot to Mel's Hole and everything in between. This is what makes life exciting. So why report the normal when we can report the Pacific North Weird right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Oh, there's only one way to rock. Loud and proud. In high definition. Radio 702 rocks. Las Vegas.
Have you ever had an extraterrestrial experience? One you just couldn't explain? Well, maybe I can help. Hello, I am Samantha Mullet. On the second Tuesday of each month, I will join Dave Scott on Spaced Out Radio to bring a human aspect to ET contact. It's something I've lived with my entire life, and I'd love to help you understand. Let's share our experiences. The ET Experience, the second Tuesday of each month, only on Spaced Out Radio.
Hi there, this is Jolene with Rivulet Reiki and Readings, and I want you to relax. Let me help you chill out and get in touch with your body, mind, and soul. In this busy world, sometimes we need to let go, and this is where I can help. Visit my website, rivuletrr.wix.com/rivuletrr&r.
Every Saturday and Sunday night, as Dave Scott wanders aimlessly in the wilderness, you can come hang out with me, James Tyson, in Spaced Out Weekend. Starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, I'll take you along as we talk with some of the best experts in their fields. SpacedOutRadio.com is the place to find us. So sit down, relax, put your feet up. Enjoy the topics like the paranormal, supernatural, intuitiveness, and so much more. Hope to see you there.
Hi there, this is your psychic medium, Joanna, and I would love it if you would join us every other Sunday on Spaced Out Weekend. With host James Tyson, we'll bring you personal psychic messages on two mediums and a large. Questions about love, life, career changes. We would love it if you would come and join us live. Call in and listen in for the experience. Allow us to open the doors to your other side. Two mediums and a large, heard only on Spaced Out Weekend at spacedoutradio.com.
Would you like to become one of our space travelers? All you have to do is click on the Space Travelers icon at spacedoutradio.com. For only $5 a month, you can get access to some great prizes, as well as private monthly shows, newsletters, and a members-only section on our website. Become a space traveler today.
Do you have a topic or a guest that you'd like to hear on Spaced Out Radio? Let us know at spacedoutradio.com, where you can sign up to become a Space Traveler member today. Or you can find us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on our Facebook page, Spaced Out Radio Show. Welcome back to Spaced Out Radio. Second hour is underway as we talk Bigfoot tonight. We round out the week, the first Friday of the month, tomorrow night. We have our Keith Andrews. He'll be back talking, extraterrestrials. And the latest at the Experiencers Conference in Portland, Maine this past weekend. So it'll be a good one. We'll get our Keith Andrews on tomorrow night, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time. Remember, if you want to follow us on Twitter, you can do so at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, I can be followed at Dave Scott, SOR. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show, and our website is spacedoutradio.com. While there, you could join up for the SOR Space Travelers Club. We have a new member as of today. Christy, welcome to the club. You can also read up on the SOR Spacewire from our news director, Eric Markham. Check out our latest blog features as well. If you like our music, it is Ron Bumblefoot THAL, formerly of Guns N' Roses, who takes care of all Spaced Out Radio's musical needs. He is the official sound of this show. Still waiting for a password from Bill Cardwell tonight in the SOR Space Travelers. We will get to that as soon as possible. Remember, if you are a listener on Revolution Radio, the Double R Machine is a donation station funded by you, the valued listener. Do us a favor and donate today. We're talking Bigfoot tonight, and that's because we have Bono Russell on there from Bono's Bigfoot Tavern, if you want to follow his group on Facebook. Bono, welcome back.
Hey.
Before the break, you were telling us about your own personal experiences, and 25 feet away, man, that is a close encounter. That is a freaky close encounter. At any time when you had that experience, did you feel any fear, or did you feel you were in danger?
I felt more, that goes hand in hand. But like I said, there was a level of numbness, and I was also angry because it was like, what now? You know? I mean, if I was still out there long, I might have tried to beat its ass and got killed or something. I mean, I just had so much going on. And then I had my face-to-face around my dad's property. You know, I actually wasn't afraid. I guess because I was expecting to see something. I had rocks thrown at me. I saw the little structures, you know. I smelled the odors. I heard the chimpanzee-like screams and shrills, you know. Actually, I have that on video and audio. It's in the Tavern. If you go way back last year around November or December, something like that. It's different when you learn, you know, about not only, you know, the alleged existence of Bigfoot, the alleged behavior, you know, and you listen to what the researchers say and how they study their behavior and what they experience and encounter and stuff like that. You know, you absorb it enough, and then you go out in the woods. It's like, you know, for some reason, I just wasn't scared. I was startled when this thing, okay, I was making my way through. It was pine thickets out there, so thick. It's, you know, in the summertime and stuff. But even in the wintertime, they're thick because, you know, all the thickets will die and it's turned a different color, and you got to get them out of your way and make a path through, get through the woods and stuff like that. And there's some open areas, but then there's areas that are really, really thick. This one day, I think it was in January, and I can't remember the day this year, I was not quite, I want to say I was maybe 100 yards away from the house, my dad's house, and I was just going through. And I was coming out of this pine thicket and into this open area. And forgive me if I don't have the you know, distance from my dad's house perfect, but I was a ways away. You know, I was plowing through, and I came through this pine thicket, and there was this clearing. And in this clearing, straight in front of me, there was this 5.5, 6 inch around in diameter pine tree. And so I'm scoping out where I'm going to go through next, you know. And all of a sudden, you know, this on my left side, this big, it looked like a big black cannonball, man, 5 foot high. I mean, this big black thing just came like a ball, just came rolling through, and shiny, like it had shiny hair. And it stopped right in front of that pine tree, and you almost didn't even see it anymore. Don't ask me how this thing hid behind this tree, how it had the means or the ability to hide itself, that thing that was that big, okay? That freaked me out more than anything. I thought maybe I was seeing something paranormal. I wasn't even thinking Bigfoot. The only thing that made me think Bigfoot was probably the hair, the shiny hair. It's very glossy, you know. And later on, I figured it out in my head. It was probably on all fours because it was about 5 foot high, maybe 4.5 foot, 5 foot high. Looked like a damn cannonball rolling through, and barely made a sound, barely made a noise. just, some slight rustling of leaves and grass, when it came out of this thicket. And hid behind this pine tree, like, I cannot describe the physics of this, okay? Maybe it's my imagination. Maybe I had a vision. I don't know. This thing hid behind this little bitty tree. And it, all of a sudden, I'm staring at this tree. I'm like, what the hell? And it peeked out to its left, which would be my right. And all of a sudden, you see this long, glossy hair just draping down, and you see its face. And I was startled and, mystified. I wasn't scared for some reason, The hair was black, and it was glossy. Really, really, really shiny and glossy. And the skin on its face was like plumber's putty, like that color. But it was shiny, like it was wet, And its eyes were like an amber red, and its eyebrows were down like it was pissed, But it didn't show me its teeth or anything. It just didn't look like it was really happy to see me. And so I kind of stood and we kind of looked at each other for a few seconds, and all of a sudden it did this, it was kind of like a bark, like a huff and a bark at the same time. I try to imitate it. I know it's a horrible imitation, but it's a pretty good idea of what I heard. This thing, it went kind of like this, like that. Well, twice, not three times, and it took off. And Dave, it took off so fast. All I saw was it like kind of a blink, like a fraction of a second of it turning around in the back of its head, and then it was just a black slit. And once again, barely made a noise, barely made a sound. Went straight back into the thicket, into the woods, into the pine trees, and that was it.
A lot of people would almost equate the throwing arms of Sasquatch to be much like the stormtroopers in Star Wars, that they can't hit a thing. Do you think, with all due seriousness on that, because you have experienced it, I never experienced it when I had my sighting, but when they are throwing objects, do you think it's more of a warning or just something to get your attention rather than them trying to harm you?
Okay, here's a way to tell. Now, if they throw things in your direction and then these, rocks or whatever are landing near you, I think they're just, this is my opinion. I think they're just saying, hey, I'm here, and this is my domain. And they're just letting you know it, and they're giving you your boundaries in a way. Now, if they start throwing rocks and branches and landing them on your body, you better get the hell out of there, because, yes, they mean harm. That's what I think. Because I've heard the encounters. I've heard, people talk about getting rocks thrown near them, and then other people have said, no, I got rocks thrown at me, and it hurt. It hit me in the head, or hit me in my shoulder, or something like that. And then, if they didn't heed the warning, which, in some cases this actually happened, just kind of hung around, and then there's the mock charges, the bluff charges. And that's the only thing that would make them retreat out of the woods. And I imagine if you press on any further than that, you're going to be dinner or something, man, because these things, you have to pay attention to the signs, even some of the tree structures and stuff like that. Now, if you see X formations all around the wood line, it's like 5 or 6 of them in a row, down a road or something like that, I think those things are telling you, don't you dare come in here. We don't want you in here. So, I mean, you got to pay attention to stuff like that. Yeah.
Bono, there's a lot of talk about the fact that the Sasquatch in the southern states, including Louisiana, are very much more aggressive than the more so docile known ones here in the Pacific Northwest, from the Northern California right into British Columbia, where I am, except for maybe Ape Canyon near Mount St. Helens, where it seems to be a more aggressive Sasquatch as well. Have you noticed that type of study as well in regards to the type of Bigfoot differences?
I think it has to do with people. Now, think about that. The Ape Canyon incident, okay? Do you think, I mean, I think they can remember things like people do. And, you know, warn their clan or something like that in their own way because they appear to have their own language. Once that incident happened in Ape Canyon, when they, you know, opened fire and shot these things and everything, that made them even more aggressive, I think, you know, especially around the area. And that night of that day, that the guys actually shot one and it fell over in the ditch or whatever. I mean, that's exactly why they were attacked that night. And it was an aggressive attack. They were angry, you know, because one of the men probably killed I don't even think they knew that the thing, if the thing died or whatever, it probably did. You know, we know it got hurt when he shot it. And so I think that's part of their, you know, aggression, because people have been violent in that area. Now, same thing in Texas, in East Texas, up and down the border, northeast to southeast. You know, there's Bigfoot activity all over the place. There's stories about torn up camps, and I'm not just talking about the you know, what's his name, Bob, what's his name? I'm not just talking about torn up camps. I'm talking, there were torn up camps all over the place. There were people that went missing. There were bodies that were found, you know, torn apart or half eaten and stuff like that. I don't think you could blame it on bears around there. I don't think they have, I'm not sure if they have black bears around that area. But, and the people that do the recreation, they go camping and hiking and fishing and all that. The people that have in that area, you know, have encounters with these creatures say that, yes, they're very, very aggressive. But you think about it, everybody in Texas is packing heat, man. And they're not afraid or ashamed to shoot anything in the woods. And I think that's why that they're probably so aggressive there. It's because of man and his firearms. And they feel like they have to be protective of themselves and their clans and whatever, you know. You don't have a whole lot of that going on in Washington and Oregon and California too much. So, you know, you don't get the violent or the mean reactions of or aggression or whatever, you know, of a Sasquatch encounter or whatever. It's more of a docile encounter, and they're just observing you and stuff like that. The ones in Texas are more likely to throw big giant branches at you and big old rocks, and they don't want you there. They really don't want you there. And if you ever get Kumbo Baker on your show, he'll tell you about the aggression of these Bigfoot in East Texas. You had to get pretty radical, man.
Well, I know that, getting back to Mike Johnson in Colorado, he was saying that one of the reasons why he does not pack a weapon when he goes out there is because Bigfoot has a real distaste for the smell of gunpowder. And he used to bring a weapon out there just for protection, not so much for the Bigfoot, but more so for the cougars and bears and anything else that would be wandering through there. That was the reason why he brought it. But he noticed that when he started continually bringing firearms with him, that's when he noticed his sightings and his activity actually went down compared to when he didn't have a gun with him. So do you think it's because maybe it's not so much the gun or the shooting that happens, that maybe it's an allergy of sorts to gunpowder?
It could be an allergy. I don't know. We just don't know that. But it could also be the smell of gunpowder that reminds them of when people have shot in the woods before at their loved ones or at them. Their family or their clan or whatever. Or maybe it's just the sight of a gun on your holster, means if you're carrying a rifle or something like that, they probably know what a rifle looks like, and they may get angry or scared because you have a firearm on you and they actually visually can see it on you, and they're like, oh, this guy means trouble, I think they're that smart to figure that out, but there's no telling. We just don't know.
No, that we don't. A couple questions coming in from the Spaced Out Radio chat rooms. This one from Eric on Spreaker. He is asking, have you ever had any experience with the rougarou?
No, I have not, but I know what it is. The rougarou is not, I'll tell you right now, it's not a cryptid. The rougarou is a spell. The rougarou is a lycanthrope. It's a voodoo curse, is what it is. And the way the curse goes, it's if you encounter one, if you see one and tell someone about it, you'll become a rougarou. And also if one bites you or touches you, you also become a rougarou. A lycanthrope. A werewolf is a werewolf, essentially. I mean, that's what they say. I mean, that's what I get out of it. I know a lot of people in the city. Some of my family's from New Orleans. I was born in New Orleans. But and then some other people say it's some sort of a shapeshifter. But I'm leaning more towards the voodoo curse. I think it's a werewolf. I think werewolves are real, and I think that's just one form of a werewolf.
So would you, if you were in the area and you came across a rougarou in the forest, how would you react to it? Would you be pulling up shop pretty damn quick, or would you be trying to investigate it and run it down?
I would turn around and go back where the hell I came from.
Are you sure that doesn't? Are you sure that doesn't have to do much with all the legends and lore that happen around a very haunted area of New Orleans?
Well, it could be, but every time I try to look into it, I always get that it's a spell. It's a curse, and that the legend is true. I don't think it has anything to do with hauntings or anything like that. It's just a curse, that some voodoo witch doctor put on somebody a long time ago, and it's now it's out there. It's a chain reaction, and I would keep the hell away from it, just in case it's true.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm going to get to a question from Gloria here in the SOR Space Travelers Club in Facebook land. And before I ask her question, I'm going to preface this with my own experience. About 4 or 5 days after we had the experience on my friend's property in the town I used to live in, they used to have a lot of paranormal activity on their property. And this one time, we were doing about a few days afterwards, we were doing a kind of a paranormal type walk around their perimeter, and we felt like we were being followed. And it felt like there was something there. We couldn't see it, whatever. And in behind the house, they have this old cherry tree that's probably 20, 30 feet high and black in color. You know how the old ones look. And myself and one other person in the group of four of us actually turned back and looked. And it seriously looked like there was pixelation on the left side of the tree, standing from the ground up until about 8, 9, 10 feet up. And I'm a firm believer because, like the First Nations up here, American Indians down there, they tend to believe that Bigfoot is either a shapeshifter or an interdimensional type being. And I never really thought anything of it up until that point, because what happened next was 2 of the 4 of us could not see it. So when we were continuing our walk to the front of the house, which was about 35 feet in front of us, I'm going to say longer than that, maybe 60, 70 feet in front of us, okay, that's when we heard the roar of this creature. And to me, it was natural to tie the two together, because there's the roar, there's the pixelation, and then there's this brutal sounding roar. Okay, and then you look at the legends of what First Nations people say, and it just made sense. So this leads to Gloria's question. Have you ever seen any pixelation around a Bigfoot?
No, I haven't. But in the pictures, some of the Bigfoot I've seen, they appear to be green while they're trying to hide in the thickets of these forests. I have a new theory, along with my good friend and excellent researcher, Mr. Doug Randall from Mississippi. He gets activity, him and his wife Karen get activity constantly. And he always sends me his pictures because I have a knack for picking them out. And we work together on that, actually. I do a lot of work with this group. And we've come to a conclusion that they actually, a theory that they actually utilize light that shines through the leaves. Like, the only example I can give is maybe the way they use, you know how the detectives go around, they use that, what they call that stuff, and they spray it on the blood, and then they shine that light on it, and the plasma from the blood will show up green or some purple or something like that. We believe that that they may have something on their skin and hair, that when sunlight shines through, or moonlight even, or even a porch light or street light, shines through leaves or even the side of a bark or on a tree, it can, the light will actually penetrate around and bend maybe the color spectrum out or something like that, where their bodies are. If it's their arm or their hand or their head or the whole side of their body, it's something about the light that it gathers. Maybe it's something on their bodies that can change color with whatever light's coming through or bending around whatever they're standing next to. Do that make sense?
I think it makes great sense. And Eric Markham, our resident scientist, says it's luminol. That's what you were looking for.
Luminol. I couldn't think of it. Yes.
Yes.
Maybe they have something like luminol on their skin or their hair. That's kind of a theory we came through, because this same guy, Doug, has a picture, well, it's a video of a Bigfoot coming through the foliage, and he's like, you know, he pokes his head out. It's like, oh, shit, a human. He only puts his head back, and his fingers, he realized his fingers were sticking out, and he hurried and pulled his fingers back. And when he pulled his fingers back, you could see they turned green.
Wow.
So, yeah. So I think it maybe has something to do with the chlorophyll inside of green leaves, and whatever makes bark on a tree brown. I think that that maybe they have the ability to. I don't want to say the word cloak, because I think it's just stupid. I mean, where's your cloaking device, dude? I mean, it's not cloaking. They're utilizing shadows and lights to hide. And I think that's how they survive, Dave. They're in the business of hiding. It's all about stealth. It's all about remaining hidden, and not because they're scared, but because this is how they not draw attention to themselves. Whether it's when humans are around with firearms, or rather not. You know, they might want to remain hidden and not seen to be able to hunt their prey, you know, efficiently, or where they can do a surprise attack where they don't have to run down an elk or something like that. The elk won't see them, and they'll just jump out and grab them, and just like that, see?
You know what? I would normally agree with a statement like that because it's a very logical statement. But this is kind of the issue I think we forget in the Bigfoot field, is the fact that we have for literally centuries stories being passed down by American Indians and First Nations up here in Canada where they have seen shape-shifting, the shape-shifting or the interdimensional type travel that goes along with this creature. And for those legends to carry on, and for the mainstream people such as yourself, myself, and whoever else is investigating Bigfoot, not to put any credence whatsoever into the history of these types of stories and legends, I think we're really doing a real disservice.
Well, I wouldn't say that, because, I mean, they have their culture and their legends and stuff like that. The Native Americans they are out to prove Bigfoot scientifically. Bigfoot is a part of their culture for hundreds and hundreds of years. We say, like me and Doug, we say, we think it utilizes shadow and light to hide. The Native American will tell you, you could be standing right there, and a Bigfoot could be standing right in front of you, and you wouldn't know it, because it'll make you think it's not there. That's what they believe. It's part of their culture. No disservice to the Native Americans or the First Nations people whatsoever. You know, it's like I said, it's part of their culture. They don't need a scientific explanation. You know, to them, it's part of the spirit world, and I respect that.
And I totally understand where you're going with that, and I believe in what you're saying, that I believe there is something different that we haven't looked at. But I guess what I'm saying is, for the most part, and I've had a lot of Bigfoot people on here and researchers on here who absolutely refuse to use any type of claim by a First Nations group who could or to try and use that as enlightenment to why the creature is so elusive. Why is it, so hidden from where it's trying to be? And I guess the way I look at it, maybe I'm naive on this subject because I am not a Bigfoot researcher, but I am an experiencer. I guess I'm looking at this as saying, if I was on the scientific side of this, working at a university trying to figure out if this creature is real or not, I'm going to use all type of information that comes in, so that way I can try and draw a viable conclusion on this, rather than just taking my Christian Caucasian scientific brain and saying, no, that's not possible.
Well, I think a lot of what the Americans, well, the American natives here in America say about the Bigfoot, a lot of it is very, very true, and it has nothing to do with science and proving their existence. I've learned a lot from the Navajo people. I had Navajo mentors that taught me all kinds of things about Bigfoot, and they taught me most of the stuff I know now. And some of them are researchers, and they do sort of dabble into the scientific part of it, you know. But mainly, it's about Bigfoot behavior. And I actually have a video out there, Dave. It's called Bigfoot and Camel. I don't know if you ever saw it. It's got the most hits. I think I got like 2,000 hits on that one, which is kind of like people. It's more hits than I got on any other of my videos. And it's about how Bigfoot actually wear animal skins to, well, the Navajo say that they do that to keep the bugs off of them in the heat of the sun. The same reason why we wear hats and things, scarves and things like that, and to protect them from the cold in the wintertime. And also to stay hidden in certain situations as part of their camo. So they have a lot of really, really good explanations that make sense, too, you know. It's not all about just their culture and stuff like that. It's just really hard for any culture or anyone to explain away, you know, the capabilities of these things and how they remain hidden. Like you're saying about the pixelations and stuff like that. That's why it's all we can come up with is theories. There's no way of really researching that, you know, because there's nothing to research. The only thing we can research is the pictures we take, the videos, the things that they leave behind, the structures, the bedding, stuff like the prints, and the hair and things like that. That's research. But their behavior and why they do what they do, and why did you see like the pixelated thing, and then you hear the roar and this, that, and the other. Why is that? We can't research that. I mean, because it's just like I said, it's something that they're endowed with that we probably aren't capable of figuring out, not even with our best technology. So, and I can admit, I'm man enough to admit that. So, yeah, they got us beat.
But a lot of but a lot of people who claim science do not, and I think that's
no.
And getting back into that whole scientific claim that we got into a little bit earlier, that's been a real pet peeve of mine on this show for I don't know, probably the last 3 or 4 weeks, is how quickly everybody, whether it's in the field of Bigfoot and other cryptids or the field of paranormal or something along those lines, everybody is so quick to throw out the word science. And a lot of these people who are out in the field, and I commend you, Bono, for not using the word science once with what you were doing. Because I think you realize you're not a scientist. You are a Bigfoot investigator / researcher, but you're not a scientist, right? But I think there's a lot of people out there who are throwing around that term way too loosely when they don't have a scientific approach as to what to do with their evidence, what to do with their encounters, what to do with anything that they experience. What is your thoughts on that?
Well, you can't call any of it science, even if you have hair and scat and all that stuff, because there's no scientist that will back you up to say, okay, this is nothing like any primate or any hominid. This has to be a Bigfoot, and that's my conclusion. You're not going to hear that, dude. None of them are saying it. They'll back out of it. They'll tell you, oh, well, it's something like a lemur. I mean, and just leave you scratching your head. And, it's not a science at all. It's not a science at all because nobody with the credentials will call it a science by admitting that the damn thing exists. You get me?
I totally get with what you're saying. So why do people throw around, in your opinion, and you've met and you've chatted with dozens of people who are researchers, whether they're paranormal, whether they're Bigfoot hunters as well, why do you think they're so quick to try and say we're doing scientific research on this?
Well, nobody I associate says that's dumb shit. But I've heard them say that, though. I don't know. I think that some people think that if they use the word science in their research or in their titles, that makes them credible. But you're not a scientist.
Oh, it pisses me off to no end listening to people talk about that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I have a friend that's on his way to being a scientist because he's working on his PhD and he's studying, anthropology, this, that, the other. And he's a very smart guy and he works really, really hard and he studies science like a scientist. But he still doesn't call Bigfoot research a science because it's not. It's not yet. Once they found the coelacanth, all right, that they thought was extinct for, how many jillion years they call it, and they found it alive in the sea, now it's a science. See what I mean? We have a specimen. This is a science. We can tag it. We can put it listed in the phylum, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's science. So, yeah, everybody that calls it a science needs to be bitch slapped.
Well, it's one of those things that just absolutely irks me about any type of research right now. And I don't know why it's been picking on me for literally the last 3 or 4 weeks. I think I'm just sick and tired of hearing the word science involved with this. Let's get to a couple questions here, because we're gonna go a little far out on Bigfoot here, and there are a lot of people out there, especially ET experiencers, who believe there is a correlation / relationship between Sasquatch and extraterrestrials. Is that something you try and stay right away from, or is that something you think there could be possibility to?
If it's true, then Bigfoot is a mess. He's messy. He leaves back all kind of evidence. I don't know, because I've heard all kind of different encounters with Bigfoot that involve shadow people, strange lights. There's a guy from Michigan who claims to, I believe his Bigfoot encounters for sure. But he and I'm not saying I don't believe this other stuff I'm about to tell you, but he said he was, escorted, him and his team were escorted out of the woods by a bunch of Bigfoot and them raising a ruckus, this, that, and the other. And he saw shadow people running alongside him in the corner of his eye, and he turned around and looked and saw these little tiny shadow people, like 3 foot high or something. Just shadows, like somebody drew them there with a marks a lot, and they were running on the side of him. And he turned back to look, again, and he saw these couple strange lights just making these weird patterns above the shadow people or something like that. I believe it. I believe there's a lot of strange things that go on in the woods, but who's to say that Bigfoot ain't standing there going, damn, I thought people were weird.
Well, and you know what? I remember, and be damned if I can remember what Bigfoot investigator it was that I had on. It was early on when we started this program. Probably we started it in November 2014, so I'm going to say it's probably early 2015. I had a gentleman on breaking down a story that was coming out of the Midwest somewhere, where there was these guys camping along this lake, and they could hear the strange noises slowly creeping around them, and they could hear like voices on one side of the camp and on the other. And then all of a sudden this white light appeared in the sky, and these two Bigfoot absolutely got the hell out of Dodge quickly. And the next thing they know, these guys who are camping look up, and there's a UFO probably 100, 200 feet above them, shining their lights into the forest, right? Almost like it was looking for the Bigfoot. And then you also have experiencers out there who have been taken, who have said that they've actually seen Sasquatch on these ships as well. So I realize it's a far out fetch from where we are going on this conversation, but in the end, we have to remember, and I'm curious to see your point on this, whether or not we should remain plausible on that theory, because we really don't know. We don't even know if that creature is from here, let alone exists.
Exactly. But listen to this. So have people said that they've seen cows being taken up in the spaceships.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I'm wondering if there's anybody that's seen some farm animals on a spaceship. Well, what are they doing? They eating them, or So I mean, they could be taking the Sasquatch too, and maybe trying to study them the same way they do people. We just don't know that. It's like Shannon LeGros, my dear friend. She went out there in Washington by our friend Sarah Brown, their property. And she heard the whoops and the hollers, the howls and stuff like that. She's never seen a Bigfoot. But she did see strange lights, around the area where they're hearing the Bigfoot noises, the howls and the whoops and stuff. So once she's seen those lights, she said, and then once she looked at the light and they paid attention to, they looked towards the light, and the light, she said the light kind of dropped down like oops, people, or something like that, and disappeared. Then she walks away all disappointed, because now she's thinking the Bigfoot is something paranormal, when she was hoping there would be something we can discover. But, I mean, we just don't know. You can't go away with that thought, thinking that it's just something paranormal, the UFOs brought them here, or it's some sort of demon, or, we don't know none of that. Don't put that in that category yet, because I have yet to see a dog man or goat man or a UFO or
how about frog man? Frog man?
Well, frog the lizard man. They don't leave turds. Bigfoot leaves turds, man. Big and round as a tree trunk. Come on. It's an animal. It takes a shit in the woods like a bear. Come on.
We hold on. We do not know if a bear shits in the forest. We do not know.
Hey, I got pictures of it, all right? So, Shannon, don't give up on Bigfoot, Shannon LeGros, if you're listening to this show.
Oh, she won't. It's way too much of a passion for her. Way too much.
I know.
Shannon knows she's in my bad books right now. She has been. Yeah, she has been since April, because we were supposed to get together for lunch when I was in Las Vegas in April, and she had some parental duties to take up. So, of course, her child is way more important than me, and I wouldn't blame her for that. But I like giving her a hard time that she stood me up while I finally traveled down to Vegas. So,
yeah.
Well,
she's in Vegas now, so she spends a lot more time with her daughter. So I mean that's priority to her. That's her baby. She loves that little girl, man.
You cannot fault anybody for that. And Shannon being as classy of a person as she is, she felt so bad because, she really wanted to hook up and talk about, Bigfoot and the cryptids and Spaced Out Radio and Into the Fray Radio, because a lot of us will never meet outside of a phone line, and
Right.
to be in someone's territory like that, you want to meet up with them and you want to exchange stories and contacts and who to talk to, who not to talk to. And, we just didn't get that opportunity, but we're hopefully in the future here, because I go to Vegas twice a year. Hopefully in the near future here, her and I will be able to mix it up a little bit, have a chat, and get into some serious and fun crypto talk while looking at aliens at Area 51 or something like that. I don't know.
And take some selfies and post them on Facebook, man.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Because that's what it's all about. Lynn is asking in the SOR Space Travelers Club on Facebook, have you ever gifted anything to them, like food or anything along those lines?
No, indeed not. I never will. I will not put myself in that predicament. That's a dangerous, dangerous game. Let me tell you something. Shortly after my sighting in Louisiana, see, my sister goes out. My dad lives out there. That's where I go do my investigation. My dad's 91 years old. She goes over there and takes care of him. And he at least 2-3 times a week. He's a Southern boy. He's a Cajun man. He loves to fry fish and shrimp and all that kind of stuff. He loves fried food, even though he ain't supposed to be eating it. He fries catfish and shrimp at least twice a week. And she'll go over there and dump the grease, and clean the little fry daddy or whatever he's got out, and do some chores for him. She went to the edge of the woods. This is not long after I had this sighting, not long at all. She goes to the edge of the woods, and she pours the grease out. And she, kind of lifts herself up, and she sees something black, into the woods. The wood line is right there in my dad's yard. It was almost at the edge of the woods. And she could hear this low, bellowing growl. She said it shook me. It shook my whole body. And I was scared. She said, I just started backing up, Actually, she took a couple of pictures when she got to the patio. And you could see a dark figure. You can't figure out what it is. But there's something dark right there. I mean, the trees were really thick and everything. It was getting on, like, the leaves were starting to grow back or whatever, getting on springtime. And you could see something dark, tall figure back in the woods. But she said she heard the growl. She got really scared. But she had been pouring the grease there. And they come to the edge of the woods, I guess, and they eat it, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, apparently it had been attracting these creatures, to the edge of the wood line, maybe the smell of it. I don't know. My dad's a really, really good cook, so that grease must have smelled good. It smelled like $1 million to him. But, I think it's a really bad idea to turn around and try to feed them. Because what if you don't have anything to give them anymore? Or what if you get sick and have to go to the hospital and you can't feed them anymore? They're going to wreak havoc.
Edie Kaito, who lives in Indiana, she has a gifting site. She's been on this show a couple of times. And she'll leave healthy snacks for them. Before she started the gifting site, she actually got to know the area just to see what was there and what kind of reaction it would get. And she only serves organic type food for them. But one thing that Edie started doing was she actually started leaving toys for them, like balls and all sorts of stuff. And out of that, she has developed almost like a kinship and a trust with them, to the point where she actually has got some great evidence, from handprints on basketballs to actual canine bite marks into a container that are not similar to a bear, are not similar to a raccoon or any other sort of wild animal in the area. And the only teeth that have been measured that same size were found in bones around Ape Canyon in Mount St. Helens in Washington.
Wow. Oh, wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And, but the thing is, I in a way, I don't have a problem with it if you're feeding them things that they normally eat.
Yeah.
But at the same time, David, you don't want to make them lazy.
Oh, true. They are.
Yeah, wild. I mean, if you make them lazy and they depend on you to give them whatever you're giving them, apples, wild berries, or whatever you're giving them. I mean, they're going to come to the conclusion, the simple conclusion in their minds, okay, well, I just got to go to this one spot to get food. I don't have to walk all around and go to the next state line or whatever, all these miles to go pick berries or raid Farmer Brown's apple orchard, or, I could just go to this one place, and then all of a sudden, for some reason, you can't provide that anymore.
On that note,
you're going to have a problem.
On that note, I got to cut you off. We're going to go to break here on Spaced Out Radio. We'll be back. More Bigfoot with Bono Russell right after this.
Greetings and salutations, space travelers, from the Chronicles of the Unknown team.
What is Chronicles of the Unknown? I keep hearing about this thing.
It's a new paranormal reality TV show based right here in beautiful British Columbia, Canada. Follow our team as we uncover claims of activity on the Caribou Gold Rush Trail. You can also follow us here every third Monday, where 2 members of our team will be available to answer your questions. We'll give you some equipment updates and some of our experiences on the road, right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Hi there. I'm Butch Witkowski, lead investigator with the UFO Cop. On the final Monday of every month, you can listen to me and host Dave Scott on Spaced Out Radio's Strange Days. We're going to get to the heart of the matter when it comes to what's happening out there. People are seeing and experiencing things from ET contact to Bigfoot, and I want to hear about it. Your experiences are what we investigators need to help solve these unknown mysteries. So tune in at spacedoutradio.com to the final Monday of every month from Butch Witkowski's Strange Days.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. With their money-back guarantee and the many benefits, how can you afford not to get one? Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com for mind, body, and spirit. And expect a miracle.
This is your medium, Joanna, from Spaced Out Weekend, 2 mediums and a large. I would love it if you would come and join us with host James Tyson every other Sunday on Spaced Out Weekend. Together, we will take your calls and your questions live. Our goal is to provide you with a positive outlook on deep questions that you may have. Questions regarding love, relationships, money, or whatever else is on your mind. Come and check us out at spacedoutradio.com.
Have you checked out the SOR Spacewire at spacedoutradio.com yet? Every day we post the latest stories regarding the weird, strange, and completely unbelievable. From cryptid and UFO sightings to the conspiracy world, we tackle it all. Hi there, I'm Eric Markham, Space Out Radio's news director for the SOR Spacewire. And if you have a story, I want to hear it. Email me at news@spacedoutradio.com.
Patrolling the Pacific Northwest, we are always on the lookout for the strange and unassuming stories that real people are experiencing. Hi, I'm Vincent Zunza from Pacific North Weird. Me and Alexandra Sullivan have teamed to bring to you those odd stories that never seem to make it into the mainstream. Stories so weird that will leave you scratching your head wondering, is this real? It's as real as it gets with Pacific North Weird. You can watch our videos right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Become more intimate and interactive with Spaced Out Radio. Join our Space Travelers Club with your new membership. For $5 a month, we'll provide you with special access to the website, monthly prize draws from books to psychic readings, along with monthly newsletter, private interviews, and more. Sign up today to be part of Spaced Out Radio's experience.
Every month on Spaced Out Radio, we look into the deep and dark reports of cryptids roaming around the world with me, Rob Morphy, from Cryptopia.us. I would love it if you would join me and host Dave Scott as we delve into the most arcane stories and reports regarding creatures of the unknown. My job is to hunt down the details and bring the evidence forward to you. These aren't your regular Bigfoot stories I'm talking about either. You can find out more about crypto history at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Strange creatures lurking in the night, the sounds of wood knocking in the forest, odd happenings right out of a fictional world. These are the reports I love. Hi there, this is author Ronald Murphy, and I would love it if you join me and Spaced Out Radio host Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month on our journey into the unknown land of cryptozoology at spacedoutradio.com. From Mothman to Frogman and everything in between. Hey, they don't call me the crypto guru for nothing.
Find yourself constantly looking up in the sky, looking for answers? Have you had extraterrestrial contact? Are you an abductee? Looking for answers to your experiences? Hi there, I'm R. Keith Andrews, Spaced Out Radio's resident ET expert. Join me live the first Friday of every month where I take questions from the Spaced Out Radio chat room and help you understand those from the far-off world. It's 2 hours of knowledge every experiencer should listen to. Hope to see you there.
Did you know that Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi, it's James Tyson from Spaced Out Weekend. Every Saturday and Sunday night, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, you can join me and my guests for some great chatter about what's going on out in the universe, or even in that dark part of the basement you really don't want to go back into. Well, let's find the answers to your experiences together. So come on up to Uncle Jimbo's cabin on the weekend. For more information, look us up at spacedoutradio.com.
Would you like to connect with us on Spaced Out Radio? Head to spacedoutradio.com to check out the latest shows, guests, and sponsors. And don't forget to sign up for the Space Travelers Club. You'll find all you need at spacedoutradio.com. Welcome back to the final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us as we continue on here on the mighty SOR. Tomorrow night on the show, it's the first Friday of the month, which means our Keith Andrews will be back. ET Experience with Keith, who is our resident ET expert, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern time at spacedoutradio.com. Reminder, if you want to follow us on Twitter, you can do so at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, I can be followed at Dave Scott, SOR. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show, and our website is spacedoutradio.com. While there, you can join the SOR Space Travelers Club. It is only $5 a month. Our first two winners of prizes were Joe Allgaier and Gloria Vega Roberts. So thank you so much. We do that the final Friday of every month. The next draw coming up on September 30th. You can also read up on the SOR Space Wire. Our resident news director, Eric Markham, takes care of that. our latest blogs you can read up in as well, and so much more. Everything at spacedoutradio.com. Reminder, if you're listening in on Revolution Radio is a donation station financed by you, the valued listener. Do us a favor and donate today. We bring in Bono Russell. He has been with us the first 2 hours. He's going strong for hour number 3 now as we talk Bigfoot tonight. And Bono, you got a great show, Mojo Encounters, that runs on a podcast. Tell us a little bit about it.
Actually, it's not a podcast. It is a YouTube presentation.
Okay.
And it's a 20. I don't go no more than about 26 minutes. Oh, we'll call it a half-hour show, where it's more or less your everyday person telling a really good Bigfoot encounter. I have a lot of researchers on my show who have a lot of incredible encounters to tell. And this weekend, I'll have Mr. Kelly Shaw from the Rocky Mountain Bigfoot, Rocky Mountain Sasquatch organization on my show on Sunday, and he's got a great encounter to tell. We got some good stuff that we talked about, and it's going to be a really enjoyable show. It's called The Beasts of Sasquatch Canyon, and that's where he had his terrifying, he's very afraid, very scared and pretty good Sasquatch encounter.
Kelly Shaw has been on this show a couple of times. That man has it going on when it comes to Bigfoot, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. Well, he's another one. I told him on the show, actually, if he would just stay still, because Sasquatch Canyon, and then that was actually, he told me it was named that in the 70s by a man who had some kind of weird encounter with some Sasquatch or something, but very active area indeed. And he spends a lot of time there. It's in Utah, where he's from, Sasquatch Canyon. But Kelly goes all over the place. He's in the Sawtooth Mountains. He's in Yosemite. He goes to Montana, all these different places. He kind of reminds me of his habits. He kind of reminds me of my friend Shelley Covington, Montana, who is also a fantastic researcher. She also has her own podcast. Her and Monica, they have Strange South Radio. They investigate more than just Bigfoot. It's also about paranormal, Dogman, this, that, and the other, ghosts. They do all those investigations. She's all over the place, but she's always frustrated because she never really gets a real Bigfoot encounter. She's thought she saw some things or heard some things, and but like I said from the get-go, if you study one area, and that's what I was telling Kelly tonight when we were recording for my show. Get to know an area, stay in an area. Don't get frustrated. And nothing's going on in Sasquatch Canyon. I'm going to go to Bowles Creek, Montana. That's not how that works. They're going to show, if they trust you, I think they're going to show themselves to you. And I think I learned that from experience. Even though I didn't get to shake his hand, but it didn't look like he was real happy to see me. But I saw he showed himself to me, this thing. So I suggest that, for any researcher out there, you need to spend some quality time in one spot for a while to get these things used to you. So, they may come around, and you might get some great pictures or videos or a personal experience that you'll never forget, man, Oh, and by the way, I actually do the intro for Shelley and Monica's show, Strange South Radio. If you ever listen to it, that's my voice in the beginning, the intro and the outro. I do that one.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Hey, we have quite a few listeners in Australia, and one of them, Steve, is asking, in Australia we have something similar called a yowie. Could this be somehow related to your Bigfoot up there? It sounds very much the same.
Yes, I believe it is. I believe it's the same sort of animal, cryptid. The people in Australia who've had Bigfoot encounters describe the experience it's very similar to, North America. In North America, when someone has a Bigfoot encounter, they get rocks thrown at them, they get growled at, get branches pitched at them. Sometimes, just the foliage goes crazy, and there's a bunch of commotion. They hear the howls, they hear the growls, they hear the roars. It's the same out there. And there's even some instances in Australia where, people have claimed, that there were bluff charged or, mock charged or even attacked by these yowie creatures. And the sight of them, or the look of them by those, witnesses who said they've seen them, look very similar to the description that witnesses talk about, in North America. The only difference is the feet. That the Yeti, the Yowie has 3 toes or 4, and opposable thumb on the hind or the foot. Maybe that's just a rumor. Nobody can really prove that. But there's subtle differences like that. But the description is basically the same: large, hairy, tall, ape-like creature. And pretty much does the same things. The behaviors are the same as the North American Bigfoot, as far as people who have had these encounters. The descriptions, the comparisons are very similar. Put it that way. They can be, just docile. They can be mischievous, and in some cases, they've been reported to be violent. So, it's the same here in North America. All kind of different encounters, but it's pretty much the same. Same creature.
You have stated a few times on this show that you believe Bigfoot is a predator. Yeah. A lot of people will say that it's actually docile, and that it is very, very much an elusive creature that really stays in the shadows and doesn't want any of the spotlight. Why do you believe it is a predator?
Because it's been witnessed to attack and kill deer. There's people who have witnessed this creature, and I hate to say it, kill a deer by, first of all, breaking its legs, and then just kind of almost enjoying watching it suffer, and then its neck, and it kills it, and then it eats it. It eats meat. It raids people's, it's been known to, or been reported to, raid people's meat freezers. Whether it's deer meat or, just steaks or, they eat meat. That's why. And they also eat fruits and vegetables, and they even eat dog food. They'll eat your dog's food if you leave it out. That's why I say if you live in suspected, like, Bigfoot territory, or if there's been sightings around there, stuff like that, they say do not leave your dog's food out. They go for that stuff. or if you have a farm with sweet feed, corn and stuff like that, don't leave that out. They like that. They eat that, and unless you're looking to have them around. I mean, it depends on, I guess if the typical researcher, might want Bigfoot to come around, so they'll leave all that stuff around. But yes, they do eat meat. And then look, they got canines for a reason too, and 9 out of 10 times, people tell you that they've seen canines sticking out, out of their top lip, or when they open their mouth, you'll see, they're not really big canines, but they're canines. And then some people tell you, no, they don't. They just have, square teeth like we have, but well, I don't know. I'm just going by what people report, during their encounters and stuff like that, what they've seen. So, but meat freezers have been raided. They take fish out of people's smoke houses and meat, beef jerky, all that stuff. Oh, sure, yeah, they eat meat.
Eric Mothman, who has been on this show, he's down in Florida. He has a cabin in the Everglades somewhere, and there is Bigfoot activity there. He has actually had his freezer raided of wild hog meat. Yeah. No doubt. He heard that Bigfoot. Doubt in my mind. He heard that Bigfoot coming up his patio stairs, and the stairs are about 10 feet high. He heard it walk up the stairs and drag the freezer around, open up the freezer, and take the meat right out of it. So that doesn't surprise me. Did you ever hear the story? Lyle Blackburn told me a story about a former military man or pilot or airline pilot who was up at a tree stand. I believe it was either in the north part of Texas or in Louisiana, where he was hunting feral hogs, and he lowered his rifle because he saw what he thought was another hunter kind of scooting in behind trees to get a shot. And then all of a sudden the Bigfoot jumped out from behind the tree, grabbed the biggest hog, slammed its head into the tree, and killing it instantly, and then threw it up on its shoulder. And as the guy in the deer stand is watching this, all of a sudden the Sasquatch turns its head, looks up at him, bares his teeth, growls, and then about 30 feet behind where the guy in the tree stand was, there's another growl right there. So you've never been in that area. Have you ever heard that story?
I don't know. Is that one of Mike Woolley's stories?
I'm not sure what it is. I remember back in April when we talked to Lyle on this show, that's when he told it to us, right?
Well, I don't know. I didn't hear that episode, but it sounds like one of Mike Woolley's stories, man, because he's had a really bad aggressive encounter where he was. There's no doubt in my mind. Oh yeah, they eat meat. They eat hog. They eat. You got to figure primates. And there's so many people out there that say, "Oh, they're not primates." Well, how do you know? Okay, I mean, all we know is that the closest thing we can compare it to is primates, like chimpanzees and apes, especially chimpanzees, because. And apes too. They will eat meat. Chimpanzees will hunt for meat. They will eat other monkeys. Just once in a while. It's not an everyday thing. But apparently they have to have some level of protein in their diet, or crude fat, or whatever. Maybe little rodents and other mammals have that protein they can't get in vegetables. The same reason why we have to consume so much protein out of meats and stuff like that. So I believe they're omnivores. Yeah, they eat meat. Can you imagine 1,000-pound animal can't just survive on apples and leaves all day, you know.
Well,
tree bark.
You can't call them vegan. That's for sure.
Yeah.
What is your opinion then? Do you believe they are a special type of creature, or do you believe that this is just a large primate animal that's running around the forest?
I think that what you just said is a great possibility. I think that they are, if they were ever made public as a species, they'd probably call them a North American wood ape, because they have ape features without a doubt. People that have seen them. I've seen them. The one I was looking at, it basically is his face looks like an ape, except for his nose. There's something about his eyes too. Look sort of human, but the nose had a straight bridge, but it was more like I'm not going to say an Aborigine, but more like an African American, not African American. Forgive me, Lord. And like an African from equatorial Africa. A flat nose, but a straight bridge. And it was right in between that, that and ape. And its mouth kind of stuck out like an orangutan, but it had lips. And it had cheeks like a person, cheekbones like a person. This thing had like a square, almost like a square jaw, like Buzz Lightyear or something. He was tough looking, but he looked like an ape, but he didn't. I mean, he did, because of the color of the skin, the shape of the nose, and the mouth was pretty much ape-like, just not like a gorilla or a chimp, which doesn't have, neither one of those animals have a nose bridge or a hooded nose. So this thing had a hooded nose like we have. It just, it's more flat and wide. It was handsome though. It had a square jaw and a square cheekbone. Like I said, like Buzz Lightyear. He's a tough looking guy. I mean, I have to say that. But yeah, very ape looking. I believe that they are some sort of ape like creature that we can't figure out. We can't relate it to any other animals in the animal kingdom. I think, like I said from the get-go, that they're very endowed physically and maybe even mentally. And we can't tag that. We can't, you can't just go out there and get a Bigfoot body. You know what I mean? I believe they bury the dead. I believe that they have cognitive abilities, at least up to maybe a 10-year-old or 11-year-old or something like that. A lot smarter than an ape. But, I mean, if they were smart as humans, then they would be building houses and making roads. And I mean, they're smarter in a different way, I suppose. Just don't live the same way we do. Do I think that they're people? No, I really don't. I think that they're a very highly intelligent animal that we just can't explain or relate, their endowment and their abilities to our own, and it makes us frustrated. But then again, we can't relate to a squid or an octopus, I mean, so why let it ruin your ego, man? Maybe because they look human, or they're just really, really big, and we can't dominate them or something like that, We can't just take a gun and, boom, shoot it and take a sample. If they really wanted to go and take an elephant out in Tanzania somewhere, even though it's 2,000 pounds, they can go out there and, boom, shoot one with a freaking elephant gun, right, and drop it. And there you go. You got your elephant specimen. Can't do that with a Bigfoot. That's frustrating, you know? It makes you have little weenie syndrome or something. I don't know. Not me. I'm just saying.
Oh, sure. Of course not.
I mean, get over it, man. It's a mystery. I mean, I'm saying this in general. Stop dogging other people. Stop bashing other people's research. Everybody's out there contributing, trying to find out answers. We're not trying to put you down or, ignore what you're saying or something like that. Everybody, it's important for everyone to take that new avenue. Bring up that new theory you thought about. Let's put our minds together and think about this. It could be this. It could be that. I just wish I could get people to stop attacking each other in the Bigfoot community, because it's really sad.
True enough, but there's also a lot of people out there who believe and are strongly trying to prove that the creature isn't Neanderthal or isn't Gigantopithecus or even related to the apes in any way, but that it is some sort of different being that could be interdimensional. There are a lot of people who believe that, right? Because it just seems to disappear. We have seen videos and footage of photographs where we've seen tracks in the snow, and all of a sudden those tracks just stop.
They stop, yeah.
And there's no trees around, there's no cliff to jump off of, there's no stream around. They just stop. And that's what has a lot of people that I know in this industry, myself included, who think that there may be something more that we're overlooking here rather than just the basic earthbound science of that this is Gigantopithecus, Neanderthal, or whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and it could be part of their abilities, another ability that we don't have. I mean, time and space is a very complicated thing, and I won't get into all of those quantum physics kind of things and all that stuff. But maybe they do have that ability. Maybe they have the ability to warp time and space, or some sort of way to harness gravity and, do some sort of phenomenal feat that he can't explain, like where the track stopped. Or, like some Indian tribes on the East Coast will say, stop in their track, hop over where there ain't no snow or mud, and they'll blow with their, tremendous breath and cover, whatever other tracks they, like try to cover their tracks, I've heard all kinds of stories like that, from the Native Americans, from hunters, from normal country people that have had, visual encounters and stuff like that. They've seen Bigfoot, like I said, hop over from one spot to the other, from one spot to a tree. Then you got this one guy that said that the reason why they can disappear so fast, in some cases, they actually use trees to pivot off of. And that's why when you look in the forest where there's, known Bigfoot, or known Bigfoot population or something like that, or Bigfoot presence, they'll have trees with the bark torn off just at the bottom. That's where they stuck their foot out and made a 90 degree and propel themselves, get momentum, and propel themselves down a hill or something like that. And as if they're not fast enough. But I've heard they do that while they're hunting and stuff. So, I mean, I think a lot of it, most of it can be explained with physics. But we just, these are really just ideas, Dave. Theories.
Oh, very, very true.
I mean, there's got to be an explanation. I know that. I mean, but maybe there isn't maybe it is beyond our understanding, or like I said before, out of our scope of what we consider normal, or what we can grasp, what we can wrap our minds around, I think it makes a lot of people feel inferior, and it's frustrating. And I think that's probably the main cause of the, all the tension and, the negativity in the Bigfoot community.
Do you think a Bigfoot needs to be killed?
No.
Because there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people, including television, that has real military snipers walking through the forest trying to drop one of these things.
I think they just need to be left alone. I think when we start, cutting down, and we've been doing that for centuries, cutting down forests and progressing and, spreading out and encroaching on creatures, not just Bigfoot. Now, if you pay attention to some of the headlines in California, I mean, it's hard. I mean, even coyotes are now coming into people's yards and stealing the babies out of strollers and stuff like that. Not to be, just to be belligerent or evil or whatever, but because they don't have much of a hunting ground, or their resources have been depleted. So I think the more that happens, the more bad run-ins we get with predators. Same as cougars attacking people, bikers and stuff like that. For people riding their little bicycles and getting attacked and killed by cougars, it's because they're running out of things to hunt. And I believe that Bigfoot is a wild animal, and if we take away all of its resources, and I guess we're going to become the food, eventually, or what we have. Now, I've heard of a lot of them are starting to dumpster dive. And you think about it, all the grocery stores across America, it is a law that they have to get rid of, after a certain date, you got to get rid of all this meat and food and stuff like that. And they throw it straight in the dumpster, and even if it's good. So you got all this chicken and beef and pork and all this food sitting in the dumpster, and it's not rotten. And I'm sure that permeates, especially if the grocery store is near, like a forested area or something like that. These things are coming out of the forest, and it's starting to depend on the food that we throw out. That there's actually a percentage. In other words, somebody stated that Bigfoot's diet. In other words, like 20% of the diet is what we throw away. Nobody can prove that. It's just speculation somebody made. But it's not entirely impossible. I mean, look at bears. Bears depend on people's garbage. A percent of their diet is people's garbage. Even polar bears up north, Back to what I was saying, if you
absolutely
go ahead.
Well, I was going to say that a lot of people, though, who have had these experiences that are trying to make a buck off of this, whether it's the television shows or as ridiculous as some of them may be, like killing Bigfoot or hunting Bigfoot or whatever it is, okay, doesn't really matter. But there's a lot of people who've been longtime researchers who are absolutely frustrated and disgusted with what the mainstream media and television in particular has done to the Bigfoot community, that they've almost made a mockery of it. Yes, it's bringing positive attention, and, it's getting the word out that this creature does exist, but the way they're going about it doesn't sit well with a lot of old-time researchers who've been doing this for 35 to 60 years. What's your opinion on that?
My opinion on that is because they don't want you, I don't know if it's the government or the mainstream media, they don't want you to take it serious. In other words, they don't want the average family who loves to go camping and visiting, some of these national parks and stuff like that, and they love to see the wildlife, and that's what they do. They don't want them saying, "Oh my God, something like that is in the woods," and I got children. I got a baby, 3 years old. I got a kindergartner, and I'm not taking my children out there. If there's something that dangerous and big out there, that's the mentality they're afraid, might come about if you take it too serious. Like, if everything I've learned from the people who've experienced and encountered these creatures, if everything I've learned was televised, I mean, you got to understand that the forestry, the national park business it's a pretty, I'd say it's $1 billion business. I think it would suddenly diminish if people thought that they were going to be going out in the woods and these 9-foot, 10-foot tall creatures were going to come around, and if they felt like they were in danger, they're not going to go camping anymore. They're not going to go fishing. They're not going to go hiking. You see what I mean?
Yes.
So no, that's why they do it. Because I don't think. I mean, the little bullshit, shows and stuff like that. It's to deter you. They don't want you, the public, to take it serious. I think that's why they do it.
I just know that I had a long conversation last year with John Bindernagel, who would be like the Gordie Howe of Bigfooting here in Canada and probably North America. And when I asked him what he thought about these shows, and I've stated this many a times on this show, so I'm bringing it up again because it would be your first time hearing it. But one of the things that he stated was he almost took like just a deep breath, because here's a dude who went to school. He is, a scientist by trade. He's trying to prove this, and he feels that these shows have really shot down the absolute credibility and momentum that many of these scientists like Bindernagel have tried to build up over the years. I mean, you got to think about it. They've been laughed at for decades over this. Decades. And when you finally start to, instead of being pushed back, you start to push forward, and then all of a sudden television comes along. And I know he just took a deep sigh and a deep breath and just said, well, television has to make their money somehow. But the one thing that he did state in that conversation was, man, does he hate the word Squatch. He really hates he said, he basically, well, he just basically told me point blank that he feels the word Squatch has done more to hurt the research than anything, because for some reason people always feel that they have to nickname something, and it just doesn't suit what the creature is very well, and he finds it very insulting.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's just the typical researcher and investigator. That's the mindset, and I can relate to that because I take my research very seriously. But you got to understand what's out there when you get the media involved and all this other stuff. that, like I said before, they're not going to want anyone to take it serious. I don't think they mean any harm to Bigfoot research. They just want to keep making their money. Like the national park like that. And that's what they're protecting. I'm making a goofy show like Mountain Monsters or whatever they call them. And I'm not going to say that too much about finding Bigfoot. I mean, they don't present. I mean, I'm sure that they've encountered more than what they're reporting, and it keeps people interested. But it's not the real research. And it'll never be out there. It'll never be on Animal Planet. It'll never be on Discovery Channel. It'll never be on Fox News. And, Megyn Kelly will always giggle at the little Bigfoot segments that she presents on the news. Because she probably don't even know it, because she probably don't even believe in Bigfoot. But the mentality there and the motive there is to keep people from realizing that this could be something real, and that they would actually have something to worry about next time they take their RV out camping and stuff like that. And I think that sucks, because what if they have a real encounter and, it's like, oh, wow, nobody told us about this stuff. But that's why I like to learn about it and try to pass it on to people that don't really, get into Bigfoot, but they do get into, outdoor recreation. And they've maybe heard or seen some strange things in the woods. I like to educate people like that just so they'll be safe, just so they'll know what to look for. And it's most of the reason why, this is mostly why I'm into this subject, because people need to know how to be safe when they go in the woods. There's predators out there, just like, when you go to Yosemite Park and they tell you how to defend yourself from a bear, If Bigfoot was ever made public, I think that's the first thing they should do, is educate people and, teach them and let them know, when to back off, when to, how to read the signs and stuff like that. The visual, the signs, the audible signs. If one is roaring and banging on trees and it doesn't want you there, you need to move out. Just plain and simple. That would be the first thing that would have to go in place if Bigfoot was ever made public, would be to, instruct people who do a lot of outdoor recreation, fishing, hiking, camping, and all that kind of stuff. So just so they'll stay safe. And I like to inform people about that. It's kind of like I let them bring the subject up. Oh man, I went in the woods, I heard this thing growling. I don't know what it was, it stunk, and I'll tell them, it's more than likely that was a Bigfoot, and I'll explain it to them. Well, maybe it felt like you were too close to it, so you need to back off. People deserve that. People deserve to be safe when they go outdoors, when they go 50 or 100 miles away from their home to go pitch a tent and make a campfire, and they deserve to be safe, and enjoy the wildlife and the wilderness and this beautiful country we have.
What about a body? Do you think a body is necessary? Maybe not hunted down, but maybe just finding skeletal remains or what the remnants of a body? Or do you think there is enough evidence right now where scientists, if they wanted, could go public with proof that the creature does exist?
Oh, yeah. I think they got plenty enough evidence. But I don't think that's going to happen right now. And I don't know why. And I do know why. I think I know why. That's what I was telling you before. They don't want to make waves with the general public on this thing, because it is so dangerous, and they can't control it. That's another thing. They can't guarantee. Maybe it's because they can't guarantee your safety. These things, reportedly, they get angry and they want to kill you. They'll kill you. They'll tear you apart, limb from limb, literally. And that's how they kill you, if they want to kill you. And there's nothing you can do about it. There ain't a gun in the world that's going to save you against something 11 and a half, 12 foot tall, with that sort of strength, I think that they just, I'm not blaming, I'm not mad at the government or, saying that they just, trying to, it's just a big old cover up or, I mean, it's just that people are, like, in general, people just need to be safe when they go out there miles and miles and miles away from their home, just to enjoy the outdoors and, just to enjoy the wilds of America. There's a lot to learn, about the wilderness. But there's some things out there we can't explain. But if we learn about it and somebody has a skeleton and they know a little bit about it, I think people deserve to know it. But I mean, that's just my opinion. I think people deserve to know whatever they've discovered, whatever they're hiding. It could be a case, Dave, they're trying to figure out a way to control the animal. I mean, because there's been situations where people have witnessed helicopters pushing these things out of the woods. You see this big helicopter coming across this big patch of woods, and you see these 3 or 4 black figures, giant figures, just running. Like, whoa, what the hell's that, man? Well, I think that's a Bigfoot, man. I think they're working on it. I think one day it will possibly, become public, but they have to have a game plan. This country can't afford to lose any more money. You know what I mean? So they have to find a way to actually control it, where they could say, okay, we got a plan. We're going to be there. These things can't harm you because the situation's under control. We know how to take care of this. At this point, they don't know how to take care of it because these things are so not only elusive, big, giant, powerful, and stealthy. And it's, like I said, it's very difficult to get a tag on something like that. And so I'm not blaming, saying, the government's stupid for not telling nobody. They have their reasons. Most people don't know how powerful these things are. Maybe the government, the military, and all that know exactly how powerful these things are and what kind of damage they can do to a person. And maybe they're devoting their time and money to try and figure it out. That's what I think about when I see those little clips on YouTube with the helicopters and all that stuff and the Bigfoot sightings. The Bigfoot come barreling out the woods. You see the helicopter behind it, I think they are trying and working on it. So I think, in a way, we do need to give our government and, and the media and all that a little bit of slack for that reason.
Bruce and the SOR Space Travelers would like to know if you have ever heard or have you heard any recordings about any Bigfoot language?
Well, as early as the samurai chatter from was the Sierra Sounds from what's his name? And I can't think of his name, and I had him on my show, and everybody knows him.
Ronald Moorhead?
Ron Moorhead. Yeah, Ron Moorhead. I actually had Ron on my show. We were talking about that. The Sierra Sounds seems, chatter, not the growling part, the one when they were actually going back and forth, it seemed like, I think they do have a language. Just from listening to different encounters and stuff like that, people talking about what they've heard, it sounds like talking. He said, it sounds like talking, but it's no kind of talking I ever heard. You know, they say it sounds like talking, but you can't figure it out. And in some cases, Dave, like a really good researcher I know from Kentucky, her name's Connie Fox. I call her the Swatch Queen. And she speaks to them in Cherokee. She's learned from her boyfriend, she's learned the Cherokee language, and she speaks Cherokee, and they understand her. You know, for some reason, they understand her. I don't know how, but I do believe they have developed a sort of a language, and some of it is probably, since they can understand the Cherokee, it's probably based from Native American languages. I do believe that, even though it's just theory, just out there. I do believe it.
Another question here from the SOR Space Travelers Club on Facebook. Gloria is asking, have you ever been to the Kitsatchie National Forest to look around?
No, I haven't. My research goes as far as Bono Russell, Louisiana. And I've been as far as researching. I've been as far as there, and I've been as far as Franklinton, Louisiana, which is above Folsom, Louisiana. And it really ain't that far from me. I'm talking about like a 2-hour ride. So no, I haven't done any investigating outside of Southeast Louisiana.
Is that something that you feel you're going to need to do for your own research, is start drawing into other areas just to compare evidence?
Yes, I would love to. I plan on going to Mississippi once I get my life straight. I'm getting with my good friend, researcher Doug Randall, and his wife, and we're going to spend some time in southern Mississippi, which is the area they research is around Kentwood, Louisiana. It's only like 100, I think it's like 150 miles from here, something like that. It's not that far. It's not even as far as Baton Rouge. It's like straight north, Interstate 55 till you hit Kentwood once you cross Lake Pontchartrain. So it'll be Mississippi. It'll be next. I'd love to go to Texas and do some investigating around there. You know, all that stuff costs a lot of money, Dave. And money is something I don't have money, right? I'd love to go to Washington, to Kentucky, man, you know. All these places where it's hot, man. It's Bigfoot hot spots, man. That's why I want to go. But that's just, as of right now, it's just a pipe dream. But when I get this, if I ever get the money, yes, I will. I will. If I win the lottery.
We only have a few minutes left with you, and I want to get into this subject. We all know that for the most part, let's say 95% of the videos that we see on social media, whether it's YouTube or other channels, is either CGI or just somebody walking around in an ape costume trying to be funny. Yet, when we see pictures that look real, and we see video that could be real, it always seems to be blurry or shaky or something along those lines. There are people out there and researchers out there who believe that Sasquatch may emit something that actually messes with some sort of technology frequency. Why do you think that is, that 99% of the Bigfoot pictures that are out there are all blurry?
Well, first of all, like I said before, they keep a certain distance. And if you just have a cell phone, you're not going to get a very good picture of it. Now, if you got a camera like Kelly Shaw, you're going to get some nice pictures, if you're lucky enough to catch a Sasquatch. But as far as the blurriness, too, a lot of times, like my friend Doug, they'll take pictures not 25, 30 feet away where they're, or supposedly, some Sasquatch there or something like that, some noises they heard or something they saw, and they snap a picture. And they'll get blurriness where they'll see half, in the picture you'll see half of its face and the other half is blurry. And you could see where its hand was, and it's just this big long blur, but you'll see fingers on the bottom. It's very strange. I've seen pictures where a man allegedly had about 4 Bigfoot on his property. 1 9-foot tall male and a female and 2 juveniles. Well, he got a pretty good picture of the 9-foot tall male. The female, when he got the picture, she was trying to evade the picture, I guess the camera or something, and she turned suddenly. I mean, you couldn't see that, but it looks like she turned. You could see the shadow from his the light outside of his house. Okay, and he lived on the Indian reservation, right? And you could see the shadow of her arms and her legs moving the opposite direction from where he was standing, yet it left this ghostly image of a mouth and 2 eye sockets, and it was white. How do you explain that? You can't. The only thing I can explain is that it moved so fast that it left this freaky image, and the shutter on the camera wasn't fast enough or something like that. Or maybe it's just the quality of the camera, the cell phone, the lens. My best advice for any researcher or investigator, whatever you want to call yourself, invest in a good camera, a good lens. If I could, I would spend about $20,000 on a camera with the lens, the whole kit, Nikon, Minolta, something like that. The better quality camera you have, the better picture you're going to get. But I mean, that maybe that's not the solution. Maybe it does do something with like I was saying in the first hour of the show. I'm talking about them possibly being able to use shadows and light to distort their image. Now, here's one theory, the latest theory I'm going to share with you that I've been hearing around, okay?
Mm-hmm.
One thing they do, too, Dave, that they think they figured out, they cover their mouths, too. When you take this, in other words, if they think you're looking at them and they're trying to hide away from you, they'll cover their mouths with their hand or their foot and to distort their outline. And it'll come out blurry, I have no explanation for that whatsoever. I mean, as far as the blurriness, there's really no explanation for it. That's why I say you need to invest in the best camera, the best video recording equipment you can get to eliminate, faulty equipment or inferior. Get the best you can get. And, because you're going to get some pretty good pictures, I'm telling you. I know a guy from Virginia, who got some really beautiful pictures, but he spent a lot of money on his camera equipment, and but he come up with some pretty compelling pictures, man. And they shot it down, said, oh, that's a tree stump or something like that, but it's obviously something that cannot be explained when you look at it. So, but anyway, that's my answer for that, buddy.
On that note, my friend, we are done. Bono Russell, thank you so much for being on Spaced Out Radio tonight. Absolute pleasure to have you a part of this crew. Thank you so much.
Oh, it is my pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me on Spaced Out Radio, buddy.
No problem. I'm going to get you to hold on because I'm going to wrap this thing up. Tomorrow night on the show, our Keith Andrews will join us. We are talking ETs, the ET Experience with our Keith Andrews, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time, starting on spacedoutradio.com. Thank you so much for listening in. Thank you to Bono Russell and everybody taking part in the Revolution Radio chat room, Space Out Radio chat room, and the SOR Space Travelers. Good to have you all with us tonight. An absolute pleasure to be broadcasting to you 7 days a week. We're going hard. One more day left in this week before the long weekend, and we're going to do it right. We're going to do it proud. We will talk to you very soon, and tomorrow night to kick off the long weekend. It's Labor Day. Let's do this thing. Have a good one. And if you're in Australia, have a good one too. Thank you. Bye-bye.